It's the art of action. Oh, hang on just a sec. Oh yes, hi Mr. Bandai. Oh, you saw that, huh? Not very pleased? I know Frieza sells well, but there are other villains in the series. You're kidding. Another one? Now? Today? Oh, okay. Goku DLC? Yeah, we've talked about this. 3.0, you say? Oh, okay. I'll be sure to mention his power is maximum. Anything else? Okay, I'll get right on it. I think someone at Tamashii really likes Frieza. In just the last couple of years, they've gone from 4th form Frieza and Golden Frieza only to every Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. I can't think of too many more that are left to make. I guess there's Black Frieza, Cocoon Frieza, Broly movie 1st form Frieza without the armor. I better stop giving them ideas or they are never going to make another DBZ villain. It's the Art of Action Figures, where we talk about action figures as art, bringing you a look at the SH Figuarts Full Power Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. This is the Premium Bandai exclusive for September 2024. This figure is a brand new 3.0 Frieza mold, representing his look when he taps into 100% of his full power during the big epic Clash of the Titans battle with Goku on Namek in its final 5 minutes and no longer. It does seem like Premium Bandai is becoming a bit of a Frieza subscription at this point, but this is one that I know people are happy to have, especially after Legendary Super Saiyan Goku was such a strong, awesome, great figure released last year. I'm pretty excited to take a look at this guy, so let's go ahead and get into it. 4th form Frieza here comes in kind of your standard retail Figuarts box size, and you can see the full power Frieza is just a little bit deeper, but same height, which is kind of a standard across the line for most figures unless they don't fit. Legendary Super Saiyan Goku here came in a taller box. Also, these boxes look pretty cool up against each other like this. Across the bottom, your Bandai Tamashii Nation's Dragon Ball Z Toei Animation holographic sticker, Tamashii Nation's quality sticker, lets you know it's authentic, ages 15 and up, warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years, product may differ from photo, designed by Tamashii Nations in Japan, Bandai Spirits made in Vietnam. We can see part of the figure through the window cutout. On the window, it's printed SH Figuarts Full Power Frieza, maximum power posing figure photography here, and a really, really pretty pink accent color. I think it is maybe taken from the Death Slicer effect. On the left, we just have the name of the figure printed on the window. On the right, we have your manga-style black and white figure photos with the pink accent color background, focusing on the facial expressions this time. On the bottom, another similar style photo, also across the top. And then around the back, we have all of the promotional images. He comes with 2 large pizzas and a DLC face for Legendary Super Saiyan Goku, which we'll take a look at. Go ahead and take him out. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, welcome back. I've got trusty hobby knife here. I've already used it to slice the tape along the right side, and I'm just gonna gently feed the blade under the flat, push towards the back of the box with the dull edge, and pop. A nice, cleanly opened flap. On the inside, we have some instructions, pretty basic, showing you how to swap the heads, how to use the Death Slicer effects with the provided hands. It's all pretty straightforward stuff on this release, but we do have that lovely fuchsia pink printed all throughout there. Looks really, really cool. The accessories are split into 2 trays. The back tray is simply for the 2 Death Slicer effects, and then He comes with 4 interchangeable heads, each with different expression. We've got a cocky smirk, shouting face, gritting teeth looking down face, gritting teeth looking forward face for the legendary Super Saiyan Goku that looks like he's being punched in the cheek. 5 pairs of interchangeable hands. We have fists, clenched finger open palm hands, spread finger open palm hands, flat open palm hands, and then another pair of stretched splayed finger open palm hands, but these have a port to plug the Death Slicer effects into. His tail, which at this point is severed somewhere in the middle, so we only get the partial tail. And then, as is pretty common for Frieza figures, we have interchangeable feet with clenched toes. That's it for the accessories. Let's go ahead and pop them out of the tray, and we'll take a look at the figure. To insert the tail, pretty straightforward. There's just a little peg. Goes into the hole on the back of his waist. There we go. And wow, people thought legendary Super Saiyan Goku was too swole. You might want to take a seat because this is downright unhealthy. Pretty gross, gruesome sculpt. Pretty good looking figure. Let's go ahead and pull him in for some close-up. This is the smirking face that he comes wearing by default. Lots of little battle damage tick marks throughout the flesh parts of the figure. Really clean face print with a couple little accent lines. We have one just at the corner of the mouth for the smirk, a couple at the eyebrow, bridge of the nose area, and then a few creases above the eyebrow. The little ear sockets. You know they're a bad guy if they have ears like this. There's some very subtle blue shading in the skin areas. You can see between the pecs there, in the crevices of the neck, abdomen. It's all in appropriate places, and it's pretty subtle, so it doesn't overly stylize the figure. I also think the fourth form Frieza is another good example. It's pretty subtle. I did get a heavy hit on his right fist for whatever reason. The skin parts are all a very nice, consistent matte finish, while these purple parts have a very nice, consistent, glossy finish. The original fourth form Frieza has slightly more red in the purple here, and also has kind of a pearlescent finish rather than a gloss finish. I've seen some people say they want a new 3.0 Frieza, and I wouldn't be upset, but it's certainly not the top of my list. This Frieza is one of the strongest 1.0 figures, and to me, honestly, still a great figure, even by today's standards. Just to praise it for a minute here, no butterfly joints, but the articulation is just like simple, but very, very effective. This much butterfly range and this much ab crunch. They can do better now, I know, but better in this case is really like hiding the joints a bit better, like the shoulders and the elbows. I would like to see more face portraits for this form of Frieza. The shoulder joints are another place that they could integrate a little bit better. The original had gray plastic joints that would be visible from the top, and that looked pretty rough, so they changed it to purple on the second 2 releases, and it's much better from above, but if you move the arms, you start to see the purple abyss connected to his body, and it can make his arms look a little floaty and disconnected. I am usually all about 3.0 updates, but not in every case, only when I think there hasn't been a good figure to date that could benefit from the 3.0. I think Perfect Cell is in much, much, much more desperate need of a 1.0 to 3.0 upgrade. One of my favorites for sure. This is an all-time great for the Figuarts line, I think. As far as the shoulder joints, we saw with Mecha Frieza, the approach they took was giving him almost like a shoulder pad. Here we have a little bit different design where the joint is gray, And then there's this purple cap piece. And the way that the cap is cut, it gives you just enough range of motion on that hinge to bring the arm up about 90 degrees, and then the butterfly joint can get you the rest of the way there. And it works pretty well. I don't know how well it would scale down to shoulders that are not the size of his head. They've done a good job with that. The other joints are all really well integrated. The elbows have a little elbow pad sculpt on the back. The knees have a nice kneecap sculpt, and it even has some little tick marks. His forearms do not have a forearm swivel around the armor. I'm always unsure about these purple parts on his gauntlets, whether they go on the side of his arm or the back of his arm, but it looks like the side is the answer, at least for when he's drawn in full power form. Also, I just noticed his forearms do not swivel either, but they put the purple panel on the back of the arm. So I guess the jury's still out as to which part of the arm the purple goes on. And down to the feet, each of his toes has little wrinkles sculpted in where they flex. Battle damage marks on the bottom of his feet. They really did a thorough job between the battle damage, ticks, and bulging veins. See the place where his tail is sliced. They've done effects like this before. It's just kind of like a cauterized muscle wound. Even though he doesn't come with like a severed arm and torso piece, I know people are going to want to recreate that look. If you pull him apart from the midsection, you can kind of get it going. It's not too difficult to do. And then as far as the forearm, that is a little bit tighter. It definitely will come out if you heat it up. But that can give you an idea. I forget which arm it is that he loses, but did the sliced body for Mecha Frieza, so I don't really understand why they wouldn't want to allow you to recreate that specific look, because he does have it for like a fair amount of time. I mean, they severed his tail, so it's not like severing parts is the problem. Piccolo had a severed arm effect. Not really sure about that. So that's definitely a missing piece of this figure for me. It's an essential part of when Frieza's in this form. He spends a lot of it sliced in half. After my previous video, it is nice to be handling a proper figure again. All of the joints, buttery smooth and silent. The only weird one, if you don't squish his neck back in just the right way, it springs forward. It does hold if you, I don't know, give it a good shove. But yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't really know what's causing that. I mean, even that joint is very smooth. It doesn't feel like something is stretching or pulling out of place and springing back. It's something about the way this neck is molded and fits under the collar piece, maybe. Yeah, I mean, other than that, everything's moving the way it should. Buttery smooth. Nice and quiet. People are not going to like these hips, but they are what they are, and I think they look good. They work well if you just pay a little attention when you're moving stuff. They do that 3.5 thing where they crash into the side of the waist if you aren't careful. But they work well enough, and we'll talk about articulation in a few. And here we have trusty hobby knife acting as balancing beam. You would think that his design would be very top-heavy, but I think maybe because of the tail, it does actually sit closer to his midsection, which is pretty typical for a human-shaped body. So they've done a nice job. He does feel really sturdy and pretty stable and balanced as a result. Even with the tail stretched all the way back, he still stands up pretty straight. And with the tail hanging down, I mean, he can stand almost completely straight up. Unlike the original fourth form Frieza, who has to 5-10 degrees more. It's not a huge deal, but I know people have also said they'd like this figure to be able to balance a little bit better. he does tend to do this quite often. Let's take a look at these two next to each other, though, and you can get a sense for just how massive this 100% Frieza is compared to the original fourth form. And I care much more about the relative heights of characters than the absolute precise measurement. So for me, Frieza just needs to be noticeably shorter than Goku, and he definitely is. And just get the two colossal superpowers here. And even though I'm not necessarily starving for more Frieza figures, I've got to get this one because it's another all-time classic Super Battle Collection checklist figure for me. And, you know, honestly, looking back, they had worse sculpts than this. This one's not terrible. And, again, this is 1996. I mean, honestly, aside from some, like, muscle mass, if you scale this one up, toe-to-toe with the new one in terms of the silhouette and proportions of the sculpt, but now just modernized with much more refined detail and paint. An all-new 3.0 style joints. Let's see how they've done as we go over articulation. Starting at the top, his head sits on a dumbbell joint going into the neck. The neck is on another ball joint going into the torso. Really good range looking up. That's easily 30-40 degrees. So that's pretty good. I like when Dragon Ball figures can look up. Gets a little gappy, but I really don't care. I'd rather they move than not have any gaps. But if you don't like that, you can just not push it quite so far. You'll get the range of any of the other figures that don't have that gap, but you have the option, so that's cool. Looks down. Again, a pretty good amount. Buries the chin into the chest and gets 40 degrees, 45 degrees down, so that's pretty nice neck articulation. To the side, pivot all the way around, get it in exactly whatever position you want, except for sometimes it does that. The shoulders are your 3.0 style butterfly joints. There's a vertical ball peg going down into the torso from the shoulder socket, a horizontal ball peg coming in from the arm, connecting into that shoulder socket. Also has a hinge that attaches to the shoulder piece. All of that combined, he can raise his arms up, not quite to a T. Of course, they swivel around on that horizontal ball peg. They can also flex in and out on the vertical ball peg, and that is what provides you with some extremely good butterfly range. In front of his super broad chest, he can cross his hands, and if you raise the arm up into this little cut, he can cross his forearms, which is pretty cool. Easily achieves an A pose, raising the arms vertically, and then even around the back, a little bit of range. Can cross his forearms. I said a little bit of range. That's really good range. Again, gaps at the front, but what I say about the neck. I figured out on Legendary Super Saiyan Goku, there is actually an additional hinge joint. So it actually raises and lowers like this and gives you even more range on those shoulder joints. And so that's why you can pull the arm way out like that. You can even make him look bulkier if you really want. But yeah, excellent shoulders, really. I mean, they're every bit as good, if not better, than the Legendary Super Saiyan Goku, which probably has the best shoulders of any figure that I own. So this is the best of the best for shoulder articulation. Bicep swivels, double jointed elbows, get well past 90, like 125 degrees maybe. So that's really good. He doesn't have a forearm swivel. Standard Figuarts swivel hinge ball peg combo wrists. They give you range in, out, up, and down, just a little bit. Could stand to have a little bit more space there. More hand range would be good, especially for characters like Trunks that have swords. The torso is at least 2 ball joints, maybe 3. Let's see. That's a single. Another single. So it's just 2 ball pegs past vertical if you put the head all the way back as well, past 45 degrees. That's awesome. Really good. Yeah, so lots of range going back. Even more going forward. That's a ton of ab crunch. That's more than 45 easily. That's really impressive. Of course, ball pegs, so you know what that means. All the way around and tilting to the side even is going to be a little blocked just because of the shape of this waist piece. It's pretty phenomenal still. Wow, I'm really impressed with the articulation so far. It's been top marks in pretty much every category. The ab section and the waist seem to be softer plastic than the surrounding parts, so they do squish a little bit. I wouldn't be squishing them too much though. The hips are the 3.5 style. They look pretty seamless. These are some of the better thigh cuts that they have done with this style of joint. They kind of remind me of Metal Cooler, so that's good because those were also very good. From the side, the tail is just on a swivel hinge, swivel joint. Doesn't give you a ton of posability, and I mean it really just looks best when it's kind of following the existing sculpt at the back. I know some people wonder why they put the socket outside the waist and not just flush, but it's because they also have to have room for the hip joints. The waist is fairly soft, and he kicks up to 90 easily without flexing it, and then if you both flex that and kind of kick the leg to the side, he can get past 90 degrees forward without flexing the hip, just a little bit backwards, but then if you squish it a little bit, it can pretty easily go even more. And front to back split is pretty achievable if you just kick to the sides a little bit and rotate him at the waist. Hips also kick out to the side, but you do have to do the thing where you feed the thigh cut under the waist, which is a little awkward. That's easily 180 degree side split. They could do a little bit better with filling this space and blending it in. Honestly, I'm not sure these little caps help, but good range nevertheless. Thigh swivel, pretty much 90 degrees to the side, which is really where it's most important. Double hinged knee, gets easily past 90, about 135, just like the elbow, and it looks pretty good. The ankles are ball peg hinge swivel joints, going up, not a whole lot due to the sculpt. More range going down though. And very good ankle pivot on that swivel joint, widest stance with feet flat on the floor. Yeah, this joint is a little bit tight. Just that hinge. The quality and the range of motion on this figure is really, really outstanding and impressive. Just with some simple moving light, you can kind of make an aura effect. They love to give Frieza the frustrated, one eye smaller than the other expression, and I think this is another great example of that. The Death Slicer discs, they are actually the same as the Kienzan Destructo disc from Krillin Earth's Strongest Man, just done in a nice deep shade of pink instead of the classic yellow for Krillin. And they work just exactly the same way, same peg into the hand system. Pretty straightforward. You just take the open palm flat hands that have these sockets in them, and let's give it just a little pressure. And still feels stable when the disc is connected. That's good. Let's get the second one going. There we go. The hands feel fairly soft. I also didn't point out, but they have black nails painted on each of them. Same thing with the feet. The feet also have a little bit of that bluish shading between the toes. This face, a similar angry expression. You can see lots of straining lines around the mouth that look really good. It's a similar expression to this, but looking down instead of forward. And yeah, these effects are really pretty. They look really nice if you shine light on them. They kind of... Did that just pop out? Okay, so the peg... Okay, my heart stopped for a minute. I thought the peg would be molded into the disc, and when the disc just fell off the peg, I thought, oh boy, that's the end of that disc. But the peg is actually supposed to be connected to the disc. Yeah, it's not too bad to pull it out. There is a little of a mushroom shape at both ends. Push it back into the center of the disc. Phew. Okay. And pressing it into the palm here. Let's get back to our business of posing him with these. These discs look really nice with some light. They get kind of a purple hue around the rim and a deeper red towards the center. Yeah, they just like fill with light really well. That's a great energy effect. I like this one. Very nice. All right, it's all starting to add up. This peg is removable from the disc, and that's because it's been designed to also fit a Tamashi display stand so that you can pose these mid-flight. Right? Be very careful not to lose this. It's quite small. Okay, that's unfortunate. The whole joint came out with the foot. Put my thumbnail right on the joint there, and that gave me a little leverage to pull the foot while holding the joint in place. The socket faces forward in the foot like this. Do that. He's got an open spread finger hand with no socket, just for completeness. Final accessory here is this Goku being punched in the face. Love these impact faces. There were a couple really good ones with Android 19, and I'd love to see more of these in the SHF Dragon Ball line. Fresh battle damage on the cheek here, closing one eye. The sculpt of the cheek is pushed in, the mouth is kind of deformed off to the side a little bit. Yeah, this is a really good impact face. It's just a shame that it doesn't just come with the Goku figure to begin with, and then maybe Frieza could come with an impact face, I don't know, for Frieza instead. Overall, Full Power Frieza is a really, really strong contender for one of the top figure spots of the year. Really extremely well-built figure, great articulation, good and sturdy joints, very good accessories. The only complaints I have with the accessories are just the DLC on principle, and I think it's a miss for them not to include severed torso and arm accessories, just because it is such a moment for him in this form. But overall, it's a really nice figure. And like I said, after spending half of my last video addressing mechanical problems, this feels really good to handle a proper figure with pretty much no problems. The only little issue that's a little weird is the neck, and it's not doing the thing right now, so I guess maybe it's, I don't know, warmed up to being a neck joint. But other than that, it's really solid, really well made, well sculpted. Yeah, strong contender for top figure of the year. And as far as best Frieza figures, this one's easily in the top 3. Honestly, it's probably vying for number 1 with the second form Frieza from last year. This has been the Art of Action Figures, looking at SH Figuarts Full Power Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.